Routine water tests revealed the presence of coliform and E. coli bacteria on the Queen of Alberni and Salish orca ferries, prompting efforts to restore safe potable water supplies on board. Following expert consultation, BC Ferries decided not to issue a broad public alert, as no illnesses were reported and health officials deemed broader notification unnecessary. While water systems are being flushed to ensure safety, passengers had access only to bottled drinks and prepackaged food, with cafeteria services temporarily suspended.
While automation holds promise for reducing human error-related crashes, challenges from weather and unexpected road conditions persist. British Columbia is taking a cautious approach with limited testing rather than a full rollout, mindful also of potential traffic congestion and the need for thoughtful policies. A recent incident on Highway 1 in Coquitlam involved a Tesla driver who seemed to be asleep behind the wheel during rainy rush hour. This event highlights ongoing concerns about the safety and regulation of self-driving cars in British Columbia, reminding everyone to stay vigilant even with autonomous features. In British Columbia, fully autonomous vehicles classified as Level 3 or higher are currently prohibited, and penalties apply for violations. Many vehicles labeled as self-driving, like Tesla's autopilot models, still require driver attention. Meanwhile, companies like Waymo are lobbying to introduce Level 4 driverless taxis but face regulatory hurdles. This issue is linked to technical difficulties with the immigration application system that many applicants face, as they can't upload necessary language test documents properly. Immigration Canada is aware and working on fixing this problem. Heather Gilchrist, a midwife from Scotland living in British Columbia, was denied a work permit because Immigration Canada claimed she didn't submit the required English language test, even though she completed it and is a native speaker. While applicants have been able to email their test results for reconsideration, Gilchrist's permit expired during this long waiting period, leaving her unable to work and facing significant costs.
He demonstrated his social nature by hiking back 2 kilometers and making a den near the facility. Although temporary visits are common for marmots, Gob's return and stay until winter shows strong ties to the conservation team and environment. Gob is a special Vancouver Island marmot whose journey back to the conservation facility highlights his unique behavior. Born in 2024 at Toronto Zoo and released in June 2025, Gob surprisingly returned after exploring the wild, showing a preference for the safety of the breeding site. Thanks to decades of conservation, the population of Vancouver Island marmots has increased significantly. Gob's next release will be farther away to encourage independence. These marmots play an essential role by improving soil and supporting healthy ecosystems.
The Agricultural Land Commission in British Columbia is facing staff cuts because its $5.5 million budget has not increased since 2019, even though the workload managing millions of hectares of farmland has grown considerably. Some suggest that smaller permit responsibilities could be passed to local governments to save costs, while enforcement roles remain intact. The government emphasizes its commitment to supporting farmers and maintaining food security in the province. Experts and farmers worry these cuts will cause delays in processing permits and weaken the enforcement of farmland protection, endangering the agricultural land reserve.
Most of Keith's sales go to the U.S., but tariffs have disrupted this market, especially on items made overseas that don't qualify for duty-free trade through CUSMA. Though he survived the pandemic, these new tariffs created unsustainable conditions. Keith Jack is closing his longtime jewelry store because U.S. tariffs have made it too expensive to continue. Tariffs as high as 35% are hurting his business heavily. With plans to close his store by May 2026 and lay off staff, Keith aims to survive online. Meanwhile, the Canadian Federation of Independent Business is calling for government aid and tax relief to help struggling businesses in these challenging times.